Its two passengers are part of an international team of skydivers who intend to land by parachute on the tiny summit of this mountain. This is Autana. Rising majestically from a dense rainforest, it floats like an island, jutting 4,000 feet into the sky. Sheer cliffs have isolated Autana. Few have ever set foot on its tiny summit. But this team's daring skydivers hope to unlock its mysteries and reveal a striking beauty hidden for thousands of years. Tonight, Nova takes a skydive to the rainforest.
Major funding for NOLA is provided by this station and other public television stations nationwide. Additional funding was provided by the Johnson & Johnson family of companies, supplying healthcare products worldwide. And by Allied Signal, a technology leader in aerospace, electronics, automotive products, and engineered materials.
High, isolated tabletop mountains called tepuis tower over the jungles of Venezuela. This region has long been the subject of delightful fantasies and classic literature. Many a daring adventurer has been lured here. But it was not until the 20th century, when the airplane made it possible to reveal its secrets from high above, that the world began to see the extraordinary beauty and the fantastic grandeur of this landscape. In March 1985, an international team of skydivers was lured to Autana. The passengers of this aircraft, Gene Banish and Bill Booth, are surveying possible landing sites for the team.
I like the overhang on this one, though.
Bill designs parachutes. Gene specializes in cliff jumps, or base jumping. Only one other expedition has ever reached this summit. From the almost sea-level, lush green rainforest, Autana rises abruptly, with precipitous salmon-pink sandstone cliffs, and 1,000 feet below the summit are huge caves which Bill and Gene hope to reach by rope. But first, they and 10 others must land safely on the top. Their base camp is in Puerto Ayacucho, the main city of this territory. There is no permanent water supply on Autana's tiny summit, so to support an expedition of 12 people for 2 weeks, 2 tons of water, plus food, camping, and climbing equipment will have to be dropped on the summit. The supplies, which weigh over 5 tons, are critical to the success of the expedition. If any miss the tiny mountaintop, they will be lost in the dense jungle nearly 4,000 feet below. So, to assure accurate landing on the summit for all their supplies, the team has carefully planned how each load would be dropped.
Material. Esta. Ignition.
At dawn on the day of the jump, the DC-3 staggers into the air, fully loaded for the 20-minute flight from Puerto Ayacucho, due south, to Autana. The route follows almost unbroken jungle, sparsely inhabited by Indian people.
it's going to get pushed that way.
According to local legend, this sandstone monolith is the stump of a great tree that once bore fruit for the world to harvest. As the DC-3 hovers over Autana, there are only a few seconds during which to jettison each load for safe landing. Thanks to the expertise of Mitch, Phil, Bob, and Doug, nothing misses. The next challenge is the skydive itself. Each team member was carefully selected for some special skills. Bob Smith, Surgeon Bob Scott, and Doug Fletcher are all experienced jumpers. And the director-producer, Adrian Warren, is a jumper and botanist. Gene Banish and Phil Smith are base jump experts, needed for the dive into the forest. Rocky Evans, Mitch Dakota, both world champions in competition parachuting, and Bill Booth, who designed and built the tandem parachute equipment, will carry the cameraman, sound recordist, and a Venezuelan army officer as human cargo. To land on Autana, accuracy is a must. The skydivers need to stay close together during the free fall. They rehearse their fall to avoid separating over the tiny target.
Go!
Solo jumpers will carry delicate instruments such as radios and cameras, along with survival equipment in the blue cargo bags. Cameraman Hugh Maynard, sound recordist Gordon Forsyth, and Venezuelan Army Major Ernesto Garcia have never jumped before, so they will be carried by others.
What do we figure? 15 seconds for the free fall?
All right, Gordon, being a tandem passenger is very simple. All you have to do is nothing. I'm the pilot, you're the passenger. I'll show you how you'll be hooked up to me. You can get down a little bit. You're hooked to me at 4 points. 2 at the shoulders, which will be safety locked before we jump, and 2 at the hips. So effectively, you and I are one person. Your position will be inert. Your hands across your chest, head back, belly forward. I'll stick my arms out, and I'll do the flying. Right. Simple? Got it? We'll practice the exit from the door of the 3.
As the DC-3 flies past Autana, gaining altitude for the jump, one of the caves reveals itself as a large corridor through the mountain, a tunnel which may have been carved by an ancient underground river. The team makes final adjustments to cameras and harnesses as the time to jump approaches. The plane flies to the correct position, 5,000 feet over the summit. The first 2 to jump, Bob Smith and Adrian Warren, stand by. free fall for 3,000 feet, about 20 seconds. With 2,000 feet to go, they release their parachutes. From directly overhead, the summit of Autana, now littered with cargo parachutes, seems forbiddingly small. Next out are Hugh and Mitch, the first tandem pair. The tandem system makes it possible for non-jumpers to be carried by experienced divers. The canopies had to be adapted to carry the heavier load and to open more slowly to avoid jerking the passengers. The summit projects over 4,000 feet above sea level into the thin tropical air, so parachute landings can be fast and hard. Bob and Adrian land safely. They will mark out an area away from the rocks. The DC-3 continues to unload its human cargo. Each jumper deploys his parachute at a different altitude to avoid a traffic jam when making the final approach to land. The square parachutes inflate to form a rigid wing which glides fast and flat, essential for the accuracy required to land on Autana. After the jump has already begun, wind and air conditions change, making an accurate landing more difficult. Rocky and Gordon enjoy a soft landing, but Phil is not so lucky. While others are still touching down, help reaches Phil. He bounced off a rock and injured both ankles.
Can you move your feet? And this one?
Although he's injured and cannot stand up, no bones are broken.
Are the others down? No, they're just done. better on film. Look at it. Look at the forest. Oh, look at it.
Doug lands safely, but Jean still has a lot of altitude to lose.
Stay away from the hill, Gene! She was going to hit on the hill. Right turn! Right turn! Flare! Flare!
She encountered turbulence and lands in the rocks.
Sorry, Adrian.
No, are you okay?
My leg's broken.
Oh, no. Is it?
Take my helmet off.
I'm trying to get the helmet. Do you get the...
Wait.
Okay, I'll do it. You just relax, Jeannie. I'll do it. Just relax. Okay. Relax. Which leg is it, Jean?
Okay.
Which leg? I don't know. Jean, you're still connected. Hang on. One broken leg. Over. You're definitely broken. It's bleeding. Autana, we have one broken leg. Over. All right. 53, Autana. Make one orbit. Over. Make one orbit. Keep your arms through.
Does it hurt?
Real bad? It's only the pain that hurts. At least if you can feel the pain, you know you're alive.
Good film?
Phil, unable to walk, crawls over to Jean.
I want to walk up the leg right now. Frequency, point on the jumpsuit, Jean. Come on, point on the jumpsuit. Ow, it's my finger. Autana, go ahead.
Her lower leg is shattered. Bob, the expedition doctor, decides to evacuate her. They call for a rescue helicopter. It takes 5 hours to reach them. For Jean, the adventure is over.
On this one. Over your tongue. Put your tongue down. And rub your tongue on them, okay? Yeah, start twisting now.
Under the influence of pain-killing drugs, Jean is smiling as she is carried to the waiting helicopter, which will fly her to a hospital for emergency surgery. Her accident left a deep scar on everyone. Although Phil can't walk, his skills are needed.
Yeah. I just stand up.
You're going to stand up?
Yep.
Great, congratulations.
Some of the water containers split open on impact, and water may be a little short, but the loss seems acceptable. Gradually, they retrieve all the equipment from the cargo drops and set up camp in the brush.
Yeah, let me take over.
The action-packed skydive and Jean's evacuation contrast dramatically with the tranquility of this island in the sky. disturbed only once before by a 1971 scientific expedition which arrived by helicopter. This remote jungle is located in the rainforests of southwestern Venezuela, in a little explored region of the Amazonas territory. The nearest city, Puerto Ayacucho, situated on the Orinoco River, on the border between Colombia and Venezuela, is more than 50 miles away. Autana is part of an ancient geological area known as the Roraima Formation, an extensive area of layered sandstone, which is believed to have been a single massive plateau. The spectacular Autana is a remnant of this plateau. 4,000 feet below lies miles of almost unbroken jungle. In contrast to the temperate climate of Autana, it is hot here, with temperatures above 100 degrees. This rainforest has dense vegetation covered by a canopy of foliage from tall trees. The team hopes to leave Autana by parachuting into this jungle, but the injuries of the two experienced base jumpers, Gene and Phil, may have put a damper on this plan. Meanwhile, the team turns its attention to the exploration of the caves, 1,000 feet below. Bob and Doug, both mountaineers, begin to search for a route. The edge of the cliffs is rounded, making it difficult to judge precisely where the roped descent should begin. They decide that Doug will lower Bob down over the edge for a clearer view.
Slowly, please, Paul. Keep going. Come on. You just take it. Yeah, I'll go faster that. All right, just take it. Yeah.
Supported by a safety sling, Bob dangles over the edge of the precipice.
Hang on. Hold it. Lock it up, Doug. Got it. Right. Another 2 feet slowly. Okay. Keep going slowly. You've got about 600 feet sheer here.
This site proves to be unsuitable for the descent. However, Bob disturbs some beautiful scarlet macaws from roosting ledges on the cliffs. They usually live in the jungle below, but it seems that these have chosen a loftier roost. This bird also lives in the stunted forest which clings to the cliff tops below. No positive identification has been made, but it is very similar to the slaty finch seen on other tabletop mountains. Only 7 of 132 species of plants identified on Autana are unique to this mountaintop. Some species are also found in the jungle below, but most of this mountain vegetation is found only on these tepuis, having evolved in isolation for thousands of years. Little is known about the animal life on Autana. This damselfly lives throughout this region. This spider is also found in the surrounding lowlands. This lizard, while related to those common to the savannas far below, is a distinct species found only on these mountaintops. Decorating the edge of the cliffs is a splendid white Sobralia orchid. But one of the most spectacular flowers on Autana is a rare and showy Cunhartia rhodantha. The extreme climate of Autana has molded its flora. Intense sunlight, strong winds, torrential rains followed by rapid runoff. These are the conditions to which plants have adapted. This sundew supplements its diet by digesting insects because the soil is low on nitrogen. The dominant plant on the summit, a brocchinia, seems to be carnivorous. The water collecting in its bowl-like bottom acts as a pool into which small insects fall. The decaying insects release nutrients the plant may use to supplement its diet. The brocchinia is also a host to this flower. The bladderwort, itself insectivorous, is cashing in on the brocchinia's liquid storehouse by sinking its roots into the nutritious pool at the base of its host's leaves. The roots themselves have tiny sacs, or bladders, which can trap small insects on their own. Attracted by the sweet odor of the brocchinia, insects land on its slippery, waxy leaves and easily slide into the pool. Brocchinia plants often have other lodgers. This tiny jumping spider catches insects attracted to its host. Not all the insects that land on the plant slip to their doom, and the reactions of the spider may not always be quick enough to catch them, but when it does, the remains of its meal are discarded into the pool below. While others still seek a route to the caves, plans have been made for leaving Autana. Phil, still unable to walk on the ankles he bruised on landing, is carried to the edge of the cliffs to give his expert opinion on a site for the dive to the rainforest.
Watch that overhang.
Stay low, guys.
I still can't see, Phil. It's kind of rounded.
No way to see from here without a rope.
How about if we toss and listen?
If it's far enough, we won't hear anything, that's for sure.
Okay.
Still can't do anything without a visual tip. Go ahead and do it. Rocks.
Ready?
Ready.
To assess a possible launching site, Bob throws rocks over the edge while Bill times how long they take to impact.
5.5 seconds. You got another rock? I got one here. You got one? Okay, throw it off again like you did on the last one.
Ready? I'm ready. Here we go.
The second rock, thrown a little further out, lands after 19 seconds. A cliff jumper needs enough free fall time to fly his body away from the cliffs so he avoids bouncing off the rocks when his parachute opens. But if he free falls too long, he will not have enough height left for his parachute to glide him to a safe landing area away from the trees, about a mile further out.
Well, how about that nearest savannah, Bill?
This requires a precise calculation, aided by Bill's homemade computer.
Okay, I've got this calculated for a 2-to-1 glide angle, which is conservative, 1,000 feet below where we sit, which will enable a base jumper to fall 8 seconds and get a decent distance away from the cliff. And this gives the jumper time to circle the area and land. if I did it right. And I'd say that we can make it based on that. Let me track a little right toward the nicer savanna, the bigger one. All right, we're right on the edge of that.
Right on the edge.
Right on the edge. Yeah. Let's see. We're short of the really nice one. We can't make it that far.
See, what I'm looking at is, in other words, if you go for this one, then if you don't make it, you're in the jungle. But if you go for here, you've got like 1, 2, 3 areas.
You've got 3 shots. In case there's a crosswind, there's probably one way to find out, and that's to do it.
Meanwhile, Major Garcia is building a shower with running water. He uses bromeliad leaves telescoped into one another to form a trough. The water is then fed in at the top from a V-shaped trench cut in the surrounding bog. After a few hours, the water runs clear. Autana owes its extraordinary shape to the violent eroding action of water. Towering over the surrounding terrain like a medieval fortress, each plateau has evolved some of its own characteristics. These rock shapes on Roraima, a sister mountain 400 miles to the east, resulted from the same kind of erosion which isolated these mountaintops into islands and sent them along their own evolutionary pathways. This black toad, Oreofrenella, is unique to Roraima. This pitcher plant, Heliamphora, is found mainly on these mountains. Rainfalls and streams cut grooves and tunnels in the soft sandstone, eventually flowing over the rims of these plateaus as waterfalls. This is the world's highest waterfall. Angel Falls is on Iwan Tepui, also in eastern Venezuela.
Good places to put your feet at least.
Back on Autana, water has eroded a deep gully into the side of this cliff. The team feels this is the best route to the caves. The top of the gully is littered with huge boulders. The descent must begin through dark tunnels under unstable rocks with cracks and holes underfoot.
Oh, we tied up the ropes for Doug. What was this?
It is a dangerous venture. Judging from the amount of loose rock and rubble, there are frequent rock falls. Three ropes, each 800 feet long, are firmly anchored to a rock.
Bit of an overhang here, but you have to watch it, okay?
Bill, though experienced in skydiving, knows very little about climbing. Further down the gully, Bob discovers two frayed ends of rope.
What's the problem, Bob?
The rope's been cut completely in half by a rock.
Rocks hurtle down almost continuously, a constant reminder that Autana is slowly falling apart. Sharp stones sever one rope and then a second, leaving only one intact for the climb back up.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Bill and Bob discover that the bottom of the gully ends in a huge forest-covered ledge. They cross a jumble of rock to reach the main cave entrance.
Well, Mr. Booth, there it is.
Looking good. Hey. Wow. This is certainly worth the trip. It's much bigger than I ever thought it could be.
Like a cathedral.
It is.
The cave runs right through Autana. From it, smaller side tunnels like catacombs run in every direction. There are vast galleries littered with boulders.
I'm going to treat you to an English cup of tea.
An English cup of tea,
English cup of tea. Cheers, then, Billy.
Here's to Autana. It's the spot.
It's dawn and time to explore. These scarlet macaws are courting in flight. They have penthouse nesting sites with a panoramic view. It's not usual to see these jungle canopy birds so far from home. Also perched on a ledge is this little flycatcher, characteristic of Autana and its sister mountains. This is one bird that does not have to work very hard for a living. Updrafts of air caused by the sun heating the cliff face sweep insects up from the forest 4,000 feet below. The flycatcher only has to wait for them to drift past, then glides out for an easy snack. Bob and Bill pick their way carefully over the loose rocks to the edge of the precipice. Being skydivers, they would have felt safer wearing their parachutes. Shafts of sunlight gleaming from the cave entrances enable this tree and many smaller plants to grow in the heart of the mountain. Their seeds, like the insects, may have been deposited in this unlikely place by powerful blasts of air, or carried here by birds or bats. Some of them are familiar houseplants, like this philodendron. Everywhere is loose rock, crumbling sandstone, evidence of continuing erosion. These cave lizards are closely related to those on the summit.
Oh, must have been a magnificent river to form all this.
I wonder if the pattern was caused by a big underground whirlpool.
Just swirling around, or it's possible the rocks could have just fallen like that.
How high do you think it is?
Well, it must be 30, 35 meters at least.
You mean about 100 feet?
Yeah, that's about it.
Bob and Bill continue to explore one of the side tunnels leading off the main chamber.
Look how smooth these walls are. Obviously been done by water. And look at these pebbles. Just polished, like in any river anywhere.
To think we're 3,000 feet above the jungle.
It's amazing. Tell you what, you head that way, I'll head this way and see if we meet up again.
Okay.
Down another passage, Bob finds a rock slab with fossilized sandbars, an indication water flowed through here long ago. Autana is honeycombed with tunnels of all sizes. This one is a dead end, where a tree frog has made its home. After 3 days in the caves, Bob and Bill begin the long climb to the summit. Bob is using Jumars, a ratchet ascending system, allowing him to literally walk up the vertical fixed rope. Bill, not as experienced as Bob, finds the ascent more difficult. He must also watch out for rocks dislodged by Bob further up. It takes Bob and Bill an exhausting 3 hours to work their way to the top.
Okay, Bill. I'm at the top of the gully. You can come up now.
They are both relieved to be out of the hazardous gully. If anyone had been injured during the climb or in the caves, it would have been difficult to get them out. After dark, Autana offers yet another mystery to solve. The air is filled with a cacophony of strange animal sounds, perhaps from frogs. Bob Smith and Bob Scott go out to investigate. As soon as they approach with their flashlights, the sound stops.
There you go, Bob. Sure. What's that?
At last, they find a frog. It's a leptodactylus, but not the noisemaker. It It is dawn on the 13th day. The team must prepare for their dive to the forest below. Before this final adventure, they enjoy a leisurely breakfast.
It's probably something that uses lots of dishwashing. Hot chocolate may replace Coca-Cola. Class.
Their peaceful meal is interrupted by the sound of an approaching helicopter. Without radio warning, it flies straight in, landing close to the camp. Perhaps the pilot brings news of Jean. He does. Jean's leg was saved, but it will never again be perfect. There is more. The expedition is ordered to leave the mountain immediately. The permits, which had taken a year to obtain, are being canceled by the Venezuelan government. Even Major Garcia of the Venezuelan army, who had